What is going on, everyone? It's your boy Blank Online here today. We're gonna be responding to Ninja, and I know you may be thinking, who the fuck are you? Who do you think you are to be responding to Ninja, the Fortnite god, or fucking whatever you want to call him? Like, well, here's the thing. Yesterday, Ninja posted a video on Twitter, essentially voicing his opinions on the influencer and content creators, essentially their sort of stance when it comes to criticizing video games. And I thought that I had to step in here and voice my opinions on what his opinions are, because basically that's pretty much what we do on this channel, because Modern Warfare is a dumpster fire. And I'm gonna go through his video and I'm gonna highlight the main things that I got from it, and then explain and do like a rebuttal for the main points that he said. Now, this is how he essentially started the video.
If you are not enjoying something about a video game, doesn't matter what game it is, Call of Duty, Fortnite, Halo, whatever, you know, there are positive ways to go about it, expressing your opinion.
So if you're not enjoying something about a game, there are positive ways to go about criticizing it. I actually fully agree with this point. We know as the Call of Duty community that Modern Warfare is not everyone's favorite game, and it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea. But I think that one of the good things that we've done on this channel, and I guess that a lot of you guys have done as well, is we've voiced our criticisms about what's wrong with the game, but then we've also backed it up with ways for them to improve it. Sure, there's been, for myself personally, sure, I've gone on to tangents about how what's wrong with the game, and just blown up about that certain aspect. What? Like, why? Fuck off! Oh my god, look at that shit, man. Why? You bring back old school maps, but you don't change the way the game plays. I don't understand why you're catering to these fucking imbeciles. But we've also made a lot of videos, and you guys have made a lot of comments when it's been positive criticism, and there's again that positive way to spin criticism. And I do agree with that point that he's saying, where there's definitely positive ways to criticize the game.
But when you take the time to go out of your way to post on social media, and without, you know, full context or really explaining what you don't like about something, for example, just saying that, oh, the game effing sucks, tweet it out, boom, it's only hurting you. It's only hurting you. It's only hurting the game. It doesn't help anyone.
Now, this next thing he says about tweeting out this game effing sucks, and saying that it hurts the creators and it hurts the game as well, I don't necessarily see how this hurts the creators. I mean, I guess if it's a game that the general audience likes, then I can see that. But with a game like Modern Warfare, and I'm going to continue to relate this to Modern Warfare, I don't necessarily see how this hurts the creators, and I don't necessarily see how this hurts the game as well, because the thing is, everyone is tweeting about this. The developers know that we aren't happy with the current state of Modern Warfare, yet they're not doing anything to fix it. So at this point, I don't necessarily agree with that one.
You're not going to get more viewers from that. The game isn't going to get more players from that. People aren't going to see you talking shit about Call of Duty, and then all of a sudden Call of Duty is going to get more players, more viewers.
Now, this one here, he directly relates it to Call of Duty. Again, you saw in that previous clip, hating on COD won't get COD more players or views. The thing is, I wouldn't say that's necessarily the point, but you've got to see that with the criticism that comes to Modern Warfare in particular, there's no players there anyway. Even without the influencer influence on the audience in playing Modern Warfare, people are smart enough to see that this game is not where it should be, and it doesn't necessarily impact viewers as well, because if anything, the state of Modern Warfare is the reason my channel is kind of in booming right now, or for a smaller YouTube terms, booming right now, because we're getting a lot more views now than we did before Modern Warfare came out. As a result of Modern Warfare coming out, and as a result of Modern Warfare being in the state that it's in, and myself talking about the problems in the game, how we can improve it and stuff like that, it's that whole point of hating on COD won't get you views, or hating on COD will diminish the player base. I feel like as a community, we're all kind of banding together and we're all sharing our views on the game. So necessarily that whole point, again, doesn't really stack up.
Nothing good happens from it at all. Except for maybe since we live in a rage culture where everyone wants to hop on board of negative shit, you just get a bunch of retweets and favorites and a bunch of likes.
Also, this thing here I thought I wanted to point out really quickly, his little point about rage culture and how people raging boosts views and stuff like that pretty much diminishes the point he literally just said. His definition of rage culture boosting views purely based on hating on a game really diminishes that point that he said before, where hating on a game won't get you views and stuff like that. Again, I just kind of wanted to point that out.
You can express your opinion in a positive way. For example, if you don't like the current Fortnite update because you don't like the lightsabers in the regular playlist, you can be like, man, really excited for, you know, the lightsabers to be gone, which they are. It's a limited time mode.
I wanted to get this kind of off my chest. As I'm watching this whole video, the one thing that rings in my head is that he basically wants all of the criticism to be taken away from the developers, and not not positive criticism, but harsh criticism, like hard truths. Essentially, he wants the voice to be taken away from players. Wants to keep his sponsors happy. I don't know if that's what he wants to do, but I don't know. This whole thing he's saying here about how he has to make a whole video on Twitter to call out influencers who are criticizing video games. This whole thing, this just screams either of him wanting to keep his sponsors happy, keep his partnerships, keep the people who are giving him the truck ton of money happy, or this whole thing is to either take away the voice of the player base who enjoys the game that the developers put out, and then again removing all the hard truths and other harsh criticisms, because you can't just have, the thing is, you can't always just have positive criticism. In this clip he says, if you don't like the latest Fortnite update and you don't like the lightsabers, just tweet out, can't wait for the lightsabers to be gone. Isn't that just fucking normal criticism? Is that all that we can have? Can we not have proper, constructive, structured arguments as to why things in the game don't necessarily work and why they should be fixed or removed or stuff like that? Should it always just be some happy 12-year-old Fortnite shit where you can't criticize something or you can't criticize a product? Because the thing is, right, every single person who's criticized Modern Warfare paid money for Modern Warfare. Therefore, they are entitled to an opinion on Modern Warfare. Same thing goes to Fortnite, because I'm sure a lot of people have put money into Fortnite. Therefore, they're entitled to their opinion on how the game should be and fixes they can make to the game. It goes to any form of media, not even just video games, but movies, music, anything. Like anything that you spend your money on, you should essentially have a voice and have an opinion and be entitled to that, because you put your time into it, you pay your money for it, so you should have that luxury. Essentially, it's just, it doesn't make sense about why Ninja has to come out and say these things. I understand, and I do like the point about positive criticism and not necessarily his example of using positive criticism, but what we do here on this channel, I do want to reiterate that, is if you look at one of my more successful videos, it's the garbage series, and on the surface it can seem like I'm just slating certain problems within the game, but the main thing about that whole series is to look at the problems in Call of Duty and then find a way to fix it. Therefore, positive criticism, right? So even though that's not necessarily the Fortnite lightsabers, I can't wait for them to be gone, or I think a while ago Ninja were like, oh man, I can't wait for a gunfight to go back to normal. Like, just say what you want to say. Say your opinion, say your criticism. I don't understand why content creators and influencers have to be so closed in and so bound by all of these walls, gates, rules, regulations, and just completely taking out the voice. Because what's the point of having an influence? What's the point of making your own videos if you can't even say what you want to say? And that's essentially what Ninja is saying here. He's saying to all content creators, all influencers, watch what you say. And in watching what you say, that then really kind of takes the whole, the whole fun out of it. Because what's the point in having an influence if we can't make the videos like we make here on this channel? What's the point of being a content creator if you can't engage with your community about real shit that's happening in the game? I'm sure before all the money, before all the clout, Ninja had strong opinions on games like Halo and H1Z1 and even Fortnite in its early development. I'm sure he had all of that. But now the money's come in, now the partnerships and the sponsors and all this shit has rolled in, and he has to make this video to tell influencers and content creators to tone it down. I understand from a point of when it goes too far, and we've seen that happen here with Modern Warfare, where Joe Secott has gotten death threats to his, not only himself but his family, and that sort of shit is not on, and that stuff should not be happening. But that doesn't happen because of a content creator. That doesn't happen because of an influencer. That happens because a fucking idiot decided to go way too far. I guess that's my whole thing, and that's what I got out of that whole video. He might come out and say that, oh, he meant this, and oh, that point there was actually meant to mean this, but if he does that, then that's just him going back on what he originally said. I feel like he doesn't need to make another video. He said his point, he said his opinion, and as I said at the near the start of the video, he's entitled to that opinion. He is much bigger than me. He has much bigger influence than me. He has way more fucking money than me. He has sponsors. He has partners. He has a Nike brand deal. He has so much more than I do as a small content creator. But I feel like being a small content creator, I have more power over what I say. I have more say in what I say. I can say whatever the fuck I want. I'm not tied to a partnership with Infinity Ward. I'm not bound by a sponsorship from Activision. I don't have any of that, and I feel like that's better for me, at least, because if I had all that, and if I had Activision in one ear and Infinity Ward in the other ear telling me don't talk shit about our game, then the videos that I'd be making wouldn't be videos based on passion and videos based on my real true opinions. If I had all that, I'd be making happy Modern Warfare videos throughout this whole entire year because they're paying me to say happy things. And that's not necessarily what I see YouTube as. I see YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and any sort of platform where content creators have their way and can create content for their audience. I see all of that as a way to voice your opinion and make what you want to make, not make what other people want you to make. And that's all I see from this video. Although there are positives, and although there are things that I do necessarily agree with in terms of the positive criticism, and I do agree with that point that influencers and content creators do have a say, and they do sway their audience onto what side and of the coin that they want to land on when it comes to a game, whether that be good, whether that be bad. But in that same sort of token, I feel like a lot of people in the community have already made up their minds on Modern Warfare. A lot of people in the community, especially on Reddit, YouTube comments, Twitter, everywhere has had their consensus on what they believe Modern Warfare is. And the general consensus is that it's not necessarily a good game. There are a lot of things that they can improve on the game. There's a lot of changes, bugs, fixes, things that need to just be removed in general that a lot of people in the community have already voiced their opinions about, and that's not necessarily just purely based to content creators whispering it into their ear. They've paid the money, they've played the game, they've put their time into it, and they've experienced the same thing as content creators have. And I think that's one thing that Ninja doesn't necessarily voice or necessarily point out in this video, is that although yes, content creators go that extra mile and they create media like of a game, they do go that extra mile, but they also play the game as well. And the people who are getting, so in quotation marks, influenced by the influencers are also putting in the time to play that game. So I'm sure there is people who are hating on Modern Warfare purely because I do, or purely because other bigger Call of Duty content creators are hating on Modern Warfare. But I'm pretty sure the majority of people who have an opinion on this game and have voiced it have put the time in and have paid their money to play this game. And if you pay for something and it's not good, you're not going to be happy with it, are you? It's like if you get a pair of shoes and there's a big fucking hole in the sole of the shoe, you're not going to be happy with that $200 pair of shoes you just bought because there's a big fucking hole in it. Same sort of thing, same sort of analogy when it comes to video games and the audience response to video games. You can never take criticism out of video games. There's always going to be something to improve. There's always going to be things that are wrong with the game that need to be improved, but it's up to the developers as well. I feel like with Ninja's point and Ninja's video, he's coming at it in a way that where it's all on the audience, it's all on the content creators, it's all on the rage culture, it's all on everyone else except for the people who make the game. There will never be a perfect game. There can be 10 out of 10s, but it's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be bugs. There's always going to be ways to improve it. What the developers need to do once they push the game out and once they see the criticism, once they see what the community says about it, actively go and try and fix those things to make the game as good as it possibly can. The thing with this year's Infinity Ward team is they're not doing that, and that's why there's so much negative criticism when it comes to Modern Warfare, because Infinity Ward as a development team genuinely isn't listening to the core fan base. They've blatantly said that in the patch notes way back when. I think it was early November when Infinity Ward clearly outlined in the patch notes that the change to footsteps is not the change the core players wanted to make. So if that's happening and they see the criticism and they see what the core players want to happen and they're actively not doing that and actively not making changes based on the criticism, then why should they be shielded? Why should they not have criticism on their game? Why should they not receive that? And I think that's what Ninja fails to understand here, is that it's a two-way thing. You have the player who receives the game, but you have the developer who's the one who makes it. So there's got to be a hand-in-hand relationship here. I'm sure that he has had people in his chat that have told him ways to improve his stream, and I'm sure he's taken those opinions and he's improved his stream based on what people are saying. That's the whole thing about it. That's the whole thing. I have people telling me how to improve my videos, and I've gone and actively done things to make my videos and at least try to make my videos better as a result of what people have told me to do. And that's the whole thing about it. You can't take criticism out of video games. If it's positive criticism, you can't just say, oh, I can't wait for the lightsabers to go away, because what the fuck does that mean? What the fuck? Like, see, like what does that do? Yes, what does that do? So you say you don't want the lightsabers in the game anymore, but what does that do? What does that tell the developers? That's just saying to the developers, oh, this one person doesn't like the lightsabers, but we're going to keep it in there until the LTM finishes. It's like people who are Call of Duty fans saying, why the fuck are the footsteps still louder than an elephant's footsteps? And then it's like, say on Twitter, not a fan of these footsteps, hope they get changed eventually. What's the point in that? Because seriously, what's the point in that sort of thing? Because yes, you can say that, but Infinity Ward's just gonna, what the fuck, it's just one dude. Where is the real criticism here? We have to actively go out of our way to tell these developers to their face what we want to change, and then for them to just spit it back at us and say, that's not our vision for the game. That's not necessarily what we wanted for this game. So really, in my opinion at least, Infinity Ward has no say, and they can't be a fucking pussy about criticism. Because if in a magical world, if Infinity Ward did listen to our criticism, fair enough, I would give them a pass, because if I can actively see that they are making changes to the game based on the core fan base, then fucking fair enough. And while I don't advocate all the death threats and shit like that, that shit shouldn't happen, I do advocate criticism, whether that be positive, negative, fucking anything. Because it's gotten to the point now with Call of Duty Modern Warfare where the developers, we're about 2 months in and the developers still aren't doing what we want them to do. Although we've made so many videos, tweeted so much, and done so many things, they just won't listen. And that's where Ninja's whole argument here falls short. While, yes, negative criticism is not always the best sort of thing. Rage culture is a thing, and positive criticism does help in a way if you structure it correctly. You don't structure it in a way where it's like, I can't wait for the lightsabers. You can say, I can't wait for the lightsabers to be gone. This is what's wrong with them. This is, if they get removed, this will get better. Like, essentially what we do here on this channel. I make a lot of negative videos, and I can admit, I make so many negative videos. I'm like, well, what the fuck? I want to actively find something positive to talk about with Modern Warfare, but it's so hard here with this game, because there really isn't a lot to talk about in terms of positivity about Modern Warfare. And yeah, anyway, that's my response to Ninja. Look, man, if you're watching this, I highly doubt you are. If you're watching this, man, I fully back what you're saying about positive criticism. Like, fair enough if you want more people to have properly structured arguments and criticisms when it comes to their favorite game. But what I don't agree with you is when you completely take the blame away from the developer and completely place it on the influencers and content creators and saying what they're doing is wrong because they're doing it in a certain way. What we need to do is we need to be adult about it. We need to not be afraid of criticism. We need to actually criticize things, but do it in the right way. Don't give death threats, give the criticism, and give what can be improved about it based off of the criticism, like what you see, and have your opinion on it and have a proper discussion about what should change about the game if there are changes to be made. But yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed, comment down below. If you've seen the whole video, like I didn't play the whole video here, but if you've seen the whole video, let me know what you think down below. I guess let me know what you think about how the communities and influencers and content creators, how they affect the game as a whole. Do they affect player base? Do they affect the development team? Like, let me know what you guys think about everything we talked about in this video down below. Click that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet, so you can keep up to date on when we post our next videos, and I'll see you guys all in my next one. Peace out.